I returned from my trip and saw my wife crying, while my son laughed with his in-laws. I found out why, and now I'm the one who can't stop shaking. Posted in r/true off my chest. I got home 3 hours ago. I'm sitting in a hotel room right now because I can't be in that house. My hands won't stop shaking and I keep having to stop typing because I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I need to write this down before I lose my mind completely. I'm 45M, married to my wife Sarah, 43F, for 22 years. We have one son, Michael, 21M, who got married 6 months ago to Jessica, 22F. This story is about what happened while I was away on a business trip and what I walked into when I came home early. Let me give you some background. Michael has always been our golden boy. Smart, athletic, charismatic. Got a full ride to a great college, graduated with honors, landed a good job right out of school. Sarah and I were so proud. When he started dating Jessica 2 years ago, we were thrilled. She seemed sweet, came from a good family, had her life together. They got engaged after a year, married last spring in a beautiful ceremony that Sarah planned for months. I'll be honest, I had reservations about them getting married so young. I wanted Michael to experience more of life first, travel, establish his career. But Sarah was over the moon about having a daughter-in-law and potentially grandchildren soon. She shut down my concerns every time I brought them up. Said I was being overprotective and old-fashioned. So I let it go and supported their decision. Jessica's parents, Tom and Linda, are wealthy, very wealthy. Tom owns a successful real estate development company. They bought the young couple a house as a wedding gift. A whole damn house. They pay for their vacations, bought Jessica a new car, constantly shower them with money and gifts. At first, I was uncomfortable with it, but Sarah said I was being proud and that we should be grateful they were so generous with our son. The dynamic shifted after the wedding. Michael started spending more time with Jessica's family than with us. Every holiday, every Sunday dinner, it was always at Tom and Linda's mansion. When we'd invite them over, Michael would make excuses. Jessica's parents already planned something, they had commitments, maybe next time. Sarah would get hurt, but she'd brush it off. They're newlyweds. They're busy, we need to give them space. But it got worse. Michael stopped calling, stopped texting back. When Sarah would reach out, he'd send one-word replies. We'd see on social media that he and Jessica were at fancy restaurants with her parents, on beach trips, at sporting events, all things Michael used to do with me. It was like we'd been replaced. Sarah tried to hide how much it hurt her, but I could see it. She'd sit at her phone waiting for him to call back. She'd make his favorite foods and invite them over, only to be rejected last minute. She'd talk about how excited she was to be a mother-in-law, how she wanted to be close with Jessica, but Jessica barely acknowledged her existence. 3 weeks ago, I had to go on a business trip to the West Coast. Important client meetings couldn't be rescheduled. I was supposed to be gone for 10 days. Sarah seemed fine with it. Said she'd use the time to deep clean the house, catch up with friends, maybe finally organize the garage. I kissed her goodbye at the airport and promised to call every night. The trip went well. Really well, actually. We closed the deal on day 7, 3 days ahead of schedule. I was elated. I decided to surprise Sarah and come home early. I didn't call or text. I wanted it to be a complete surprise. I caught a red-eye flight Wednesday night, landed Thursday morning, and drove home with flowers and her favorite chocolates. I pulled into our driveway around 10 a.m. Michael's car was there, which was strange. He should have been at work. So was a car I didn't recognize, but assumed it might be Jessica's new one that Tom and Linda probably bought her. I walked in through the garage, quiet because I was planning to surprise Sarah. That's when I heard voices in the living room. Multiple voices. I recognized Michael's laugh. That loud, confident laugh he's had since he was a kid. Then I heard Tom's voice, and Linda's and Jessica's. And then I heard crying. Soft, broken sobbing. I walked toward the living room and stopped in the doorway. The scene in front of me is burned into my brain forever. Sarah was sitting in the corner chair. Her chair, the one she sat in every evening for years, crying silently with her hands folded in her lap. Her eyes were red and swollen, like she'd been crying for a while. Michael, Jessica, Tom, and Linda were on the couch and surrounding chairs, looking relaxed and comfortable. There were papers spread out on the coffee table. Michael was laughing at something Tom had said. Jessica was on her phone, smiling. Linda was drinking coffee from one of our mugs. None of them were looking at Sarah. "What's going on?" I said. Everyone's heads snapped toward me. Sarah's face crumpled with relief. "David, you're home early." Michael's expression went from surprised to annoyed in a second. "Dad, we're in the middle of something." "In the middle of what? Why is your mother crying?" "She's being emotional," Jessica said dismissively, not even looking up from her phone. "We've been trying to have an adult conversation, but she keeps making it difficult." The rage that went through me in that moment was unlike anything I've ever felt. "Excuse me? Who the hell do you think you're talking about?" Tom stood up, hand extended like we were at a business meeting. "David, good to see you. Why don't you sit down and we can explain? Explain why my wife is crying in her own home while you people sit around laughing? Start talking. Now." Michael sighed heavily, like I was a child interrupting grown-up time. "Dad, we're handling family business. This doesn't concern you yet." "Family business? She's my wife." Sarah stood up, wiping her face. "David, they've been." She couldn't finish. She just started crying harder. I went to her, put my arm around her. "Sarah, what's happening?" Linda spoke up, her voice dripping with false sympathy. "We've been discussing Michael and Jessica's future, and some changes that need to be made for them to thrive as a young couple." "What changes?" Michael stood up, and for the first time I noticed he looked uncomfortable. "Good. Dad, Jessica and I have been talking with her parents about our 5-year plan. We want to start a family soon, buy a bigger house, really establish ourselves. But to do that, we need to make some adjustments." "What kind of adjustments?" "Financial ones," Tom interjected. "We're prepared to help them significantly, but we need to ensure all family resources are aligned properly." I looked down at the papers on the coffee table. I saw legal letterhead, contract language, numbers. My stomach dropped. "What are these?" Nobody answered. I let go of Sarah and picked up the papers. It took me a minute to understand what I was reading, and when I did, I actually thought I might be hallucinating. They were loan documents, transferring the title of our house, liquidating our retirement accounts, signing over a portion of my future earnings. To Michael and Jessica. "What the fuck is this?" "Dad, don't be dramatic. What the fuck is this?" Sarah was sobbing behind me. "They've been here since 8 a.m. They said as parents, it's our responsibility to give Michael the best start in life. That since Tom and Linda are contributing so much, we should do the same. They want us to help finance their future." Couldn't breathe. "You want us to give you our house?" "Not give," Jessica corrected. "It would be a loan. Technically. A loan you'd never have to pay back," Linda added smoothly. "Consider it an early inheritance. Why should Michael wait until you're both gone to benefit from your assets? Let him enjoy it while he's young enough to appreciate it." "This is insane. Absolutely insane." "It's what family does," Tom said. "We're setting our kids up for success. Linda and I have already committed significant resources. We're asking you to do the same. You're asking me to make myself and my wife homeless and broke so my 21-year-old son can have a bigger house? You're being reductive," Michael said, and I barely recognized his voice. When did he start sounding so cold? "Nobody said you'd be homeless. You'd move into the in-law suite above our garage. It's actually really nice. Jessica's parents helped design it. The in-law suite in the house we're giving you? The house you'd be investing in. As part owners. Get out." Everyone went silent. Sarah stopped crying from the shock of my voice. "Get out of my house. All of you. Right now." "Dad, you're not understanding the full picture." "I understand perfectly. You want me to sign over everything I've worked my entire life for, move into a shed in your backyard, and be grateful for it. I understand that you've been in my house bullying your mother into this insanity while I was gone. I understand that you've been manipulated by these people into thinking this is normal. So now I need you to understand something. Get of my house. Tom's face hardened. We had hoped you'd be reasonable. You had hoped I'd be stupid. There's a difference. Leave. Linda stood, picking up her purse with exaggerated calm. This is why Jessica's family has gotten so much closer to Michael. Your attitude. Your inability to support your own son's success. My attitude? You came into my home and tried to scam me and my wife out of everything we own. You think I don't see what this is? You want full control over my son. You want him completely dependent on you with no other family to turn to. So you isolate him from us, then convince him to ask us to financially destroy ourselves, and when we refuse because we're not complete idiots, you'll use that as proof that we don't love him. Well, congratulations. You've succeeded in raising a daughter who's a gold digger and turning my son into someone I don't recognize. Jessica gasped. How dare you? How dare I? How dare you? Coming into my home, treating my wife like garbage, trying to steal our future. All of you can go straight to hell. Michael's face was red. I couldn't tell if it was anger or shame. Dad, I'm sorry you feel this way, but Jessica is my wife now. Her family is my family. And if you can't support us the way her parents do, then maybe we need to reevaluate our relationship. Those words hit me like a physical blow. Sarah made a sound like she'd been punched. Is that a threat? I asked quietly. It's a reality. We're building a life. We need family who will invest in that life. If you won't, then we'll have to focus on the family who will. So you're saying if I don't give you my house and my retirement, you're cutting us out? Michael looked at Jessica, who nodded almost imperceptibly. I'm saying we need to prioritize relationships that are mutually beneficial. I've been in business for 25 years. I know corporate speak when I hear it. My son had just reduced his relationship with his parents to a transaction. Get out, I repeated. Take your in-laws, take your papers, and get out. If you want to choose money over family, that's your decision. But don't you ever come back here asking for anything. Not money, not support, and sure as hell not forgiveness. You're making a mistake, Tom said. Michael is your only son. You'll regret burning this bridge. The bridge was burned the moment you people manipulated him into this. Now leave before I call the police and have you removed for harassment. They left. Michael didn't look back. Jessica smirked on her way out. Tom and Linda looked annoyed, like I'd been a difficult client who wouldn't close a deal. Sarah collapsed on the couch the moment the door closed. I held her while she cried for an hour. She told me everything. They'd shown up that morning unannounced. Michael had called the day before, said he wanted to come by and talk. Sarah was excited. She thought maybe he was finally making time for her. Instead, he showed up with his wife and in-laws and ambushed her with this proposal. They'd spent 2 hours pressuring her. Tom and Linda tag-teamed with sophisticated arguments about family investment, generational wealth, how parents should sacrifice for their children's success. Michael barely said anything, just nodded along. Jessica made comments about how sad it was that our house was so outdated, how we could have a cute little space in their new place, how she'd even let Sarah babysit when they had kids, as if that was some generous offer. Sarah kept saying no, that she needed to wait for me, that we'd never make a decision like this without discussing it together. They kept pushing. Linda made passive-aggressive comments about how Michael's real family, meaning them, would never hesitate to help him. Tom implied that we were selfish, that we'd had our turn at life and should let the young people have theirs. Michael, our son, sat there and let them bully his mother. The woman who gave birth to him, raised him, sacrificed everything for him. He sat there and let these people abuse her for 2 hours. When Sarah started crying and asked them to leave, Jessica told her she was being manipulative, using tears to avoid having an adult conversation. That's when I walked in. Sarah's been crying on and off for 3 hours now. She keeps asking what she did wrong, where we failed as parents. I don't have answers. I'm so angry I can barely think straight. I called my lawyer an hour ago, told him everything. He said what they tried to do could potentially be considered elder abuse or financial exploitation, even though we're not technically elderly. He's documenting everything in case Michael tries anything legal. He also said to change our locks immediately and update our will. I called our financial advisor next. Made sure all our accounts have 2 signature requirements. Checked that Michael isn't listed as a beneficiary on anything he could access now. Everything is secure. Then I called my brother. Told him the whole story. He was speechless. He wants to drive over and confront Michael himself, but I told him not to. There's nothing to say. Michael made his choice. The worst part is the photos I can see from where I'm sitting. Michael's school pictures on the wall. His graduation photo. Photos of us camping, fishing, at his baseball games. That little boy who used to hug me and say I was his hero. Where did he go? When did he turn into this stranger? Sarah finally fell asleep about an hour ago, exhausted from crying. I tucked her into bed, packed a bag, and left. I can't be there right now. I'm too angry. I'm afraid if Michael calls or shows up, I'll say something I can't take back. Or worse. So I'm at a hotel writing this out, trying to process it. My son tried to steal my house. My son let his in-laws bully his mother. My son essentially said he'd cut us off if we didn't give him everything we own. My son chose money over us. And the thing that keeps playing in my head, he was laughing. When I walked in, before he knew I was there, he was laughing, having a good time, while his mother cried alone in the corner. I don't know if I can forgive this. I don't know if I want to. People say you do anything for your kids. That parent-child love is unconditional. But what happens when your kid becomes someone you can't recognize? Someone who would hurt you without hesitation? What do you do then? I raised him better than this. I know I did. So either I failed somewhere along the way, or these people got their hooks in so deep that the son I knew is just gone. Sarah will want to fix this. She'll want to reach out, try to repair things, make excuses for him. That's who she is. She's a mother. And mothers don't give up on their children. But I'm not sure I'm that strong. I'm not sure I can look at him the same way again. I keep thinking about what he said. Relationships that are mutually beneficial. Like I'm a business connection, not his father. Like Sarah is an investment, not his mother. When did he become so cold? Was it gradual? Or did I just miss the signs? The crazy thing is, we would have helped him. If he'd come to us honestly, said he and Jessica were struggling, asked for help, we would have given what we could. Not our house, not our entire future, but something. We've always been there for him. But that wasn't enough. They wanted everything, and they wanted it through manipulation and intimidation. I keep replaying the moment I walked in. Sarah's face. The relief in her eyes when she saw me. She'd been alone with them for 2 hours, being tag-teamed and pressured and broken down. And Michael let it happen. Participated in it. What kind of man does that to his own mother? I need to stop writing. My hands are cramping and my head is pounding. I don't know what happens tomorrow. I don't know if Michael will call, or if he'll just write us off and move on with his new family. I don't know how to help Sarah through this. I don't know how to process this myself. All I know is that I came home early to surprise my wife, and instead found out that we'd lost our son. Not to an accident or illness or anything we could fight against. We lost him to greed and manipulation and people who see family as a resource to be exploited. If you have kids, hug them. Teach them values. Make sure they understand that family isn't transactional, that love isn't conditional, that success built on the ruins of others isn't success at all. And if you're a young person reading this, don't let anyone, spouse, in-laws, friends, convince you to betray the people who raised you. Your parents aren't ATMs. They're human beings who sacrificed for you, and they deserve respect. If someone you love asks you to choose between them and your family, choose your family. Because anyone who forces that choice doesn't really love you. They're using you. I'm gonna try to sleep now. Thanks for reading. I needed to get this out. Update 2 days later. I didn't expect this to get so much attention. Thank you all for the support and advice. Some of you asked for an update, so here it is. It's not a happy one. Friday morning I went back home. Sarah was awake, making coffee, looking like she hadn't slept at all despite being exhausted. Her eyes were puffy and red. She tried to smile when she saw me, but it just made me want to cry. We sat at the kitchen table and talked for a long time. Really talked. Sarah admitted she'd noticed Michael changing over the past year, but had convinced herself it was just him growing up, establishing independence. She'd excused every canceled dinner, every ignored text, every time he'd chosen Jessica's family over us. She said she was scared that if she pushed back, she'd lose him completely. So she tried to be understanding, accommodating, the cool mother-in-law who didn't make demands. I told her none of this was her fault, that she'd been the best mother anyone could ask for, that Michael's choices were his own. She asked what we should do. I told her about the steps I'd taken, the lawyer, the financial advisor, the security measures. She nodded, but I could see it hurt her. Making our own son a security threat. Having to protect ourselves from the person we'd protected his entire life. Then she said something that broke my heart. Maybe we should just give them what they want. I asked her what she meant. Maybe if we help them, Michael will come back to us. Maybe once they have what they need, he'll remember that he loves us. Maybe this is just a phase, and if we're patient and generous, he'll realize. I stopped her, gently but firmly. Sarah, if we give them our house, our money, everything, we'll have nothing. We'll be dependent on them. And people like Tom and Linda, people who would orchestrate something like this, they don't want us close out of love. They want us close so they can control us. They want us desperate and powerless. But he's our son, who was willing to make you cry for 2 hours to get what he wants, who brought strangers into our home to intimidate you, who laughed while you suffered. I know you love him. I love him too. But the Michael we loved doesn't exist anymore. Or if he does, he's buried so deep under Jessica and her parents' influence that we can't reach him. And bankrupting ourselves won't change that. She cried again. I held her. We sat there for probably an hour, just holding each other, mourning the loss of our son while he's still alive and walking around. Around noon, my phone rang. It was Michael. Sarah looked at me with such hope in her eyes. I answered on speaker. Dad, we need to talk. I'm listening. You were out of line yesterday. The way you spoke to Jessica and her parents was disrespectful and unacceptable. You owe them an apology. I waited for more. That was it. No apology to his mother. No acknowledgement that maybe showing up unannounced with a scam was wrong. Just a demand that I apologize. Is that all? I asked. No. We're willing to give you another chance to be part of our lives. But you need to understand some boundaries. First, you need to apologize to everyone involved. Second, you need to seriously consider the financial proposal. Tom and Linda have agreed to extend the offer for another week. Third, you need to respect that Jessica is my wife and her family's input is valuable to me. If you can't do these things, then I think we need some space. Sarah was shaking her head at me, mouthing, just agree. But I couldn't. Michael, I'm going to say this once, and I need you to really hear me. What you, Jessica, and her parents tried to do was wrong. It was manipulative, potentially illegal, and deeply hurtful. You sat in our home and let them bully your mother for hours. You laughed while she cried. You threatened to cut us out of your life if we didn't hand over everything we've worked for. I knew you wouldn't understand. You've never supported my success. I've supported you your entire life. I paid for your school, your sports, your activities. Your mother and I both worked to make sure you had every opportunity. We celebrated every achievement, stayed up with you through every struggle. We loved you unconditionally. And the moment you found a richer family, you discarded us like we were nothing. That's not, you're twisting this. Am I? Tell me honestly. If Tom and Linda had shown up at your door asking you to sign over your house and savings to Jessica's brother, would you have done it? Silence. That's what I thought. You know it was wrong. You know it. But you went along with it anyway because you've decided that money and status are more important than integrity, than family, than the people who actually love you, not your bank account. If you really loved me, you'd want to help me succeed. I do want to help you succeed, but success built on exploitation isn't success, Michael. It's theft dressed up in nice words. And if you can't see that, then I've failed you as a father. Not by refusing to give you my house, but by not teaching you better values. More silence. Then, so that's it? You're choosing pride over your own son? No. You're choosing greed over your own parents. Big difference. I love you, Michael. I always will. But I will not fund your life at the cost of our survival. And I will not tolerate anyone, including you, abusing your mother. When you're ready to have a real relationship with us, one based on mutual respect and love rather than financial transactions, our door is open. But until then, we're done. Fine. Don't expect to meet your grandchildren when they come. Don't expect Christmas cards or birthday wishes. You've made your choice and so have I. He hung up. Sarah broke down completely. I'm not ashamed to say I cried too. That phone call confirmed what I'd feared. Michael was gone. Maybe not forever, but for now the son we raised was just gone. Yesterday, Saturday, Sarah's sister came over. She'd heard what happened through the family grapevine. I'd told my brother. He'd told his wife. Word spread. She was furious on our behalf. She said she'd seen warning signs at family gatherings. How Jessica would make subtle digs at Sarah. How Michael seemed almost embarrassed by us compared to his wealthy in-laws. How Tom and Linda always dominated conversations and made everything about their money and success. She offered to call Michael herself to try to talk sense into him. I told her not to, that this was something he needed to work out on his own. Either he'd eventually see through the manipulation or he wouldn't. But having the whole family dogpile on him would only push him further into Jessica's family's arms. Sarah's been going through old photos and videos of Michael. Torturing herself, really. Watching videos of his childhood, looking at pictures from his graduation, his wedding. Looking for the moment it all went wrong. I don't think there was one moment. I think it was gradual. 1,000 small compromises, 1,000 little manipulations, until one day he looked around and didn't recognize himself or his values anymore. We've started looking into therapy. Both couples counseling for us and individual therapy for Sarah. She's taking this harder than I am, which makes sense. She's his mother. That bond is different, deeper. I'm angry and hurt, but she's devastated. Some of you asked about our will. We met with our lawyer yesterday and updated everything. Michael is still in the will, but with specific conditions and a much smaller inheritance. The bulk of our estate will now go to our nieces and nephews, with portions for charities we care about. If Michael contests it, there are provisions that reduce his share to almost nothing. Our lawyer called it a no-contest clause. Basically, if you fight it, you lose it all. We also updated our power of attorney documents, advanced directives, everything. Made sure that if something happens to us, Michael has no legal authority over our care or finances. It felt horrible, like planning for war against your own child. But necessary. The locks are changed. The security system now sends alerts to both my phone and Sarah's. We've informed our bank, our financial institutions, everyone relevant, that no changes should be made without both of us present and with ID verification. We're as protected as we can be. But it doesn't make us feel any safer. Because the threat isn't really about money or property. It's about the emotional manipulation. It's about waking up every day knowing your only child chose strangers over you. Some people in the comments said I was too harsh with Michael, that I should have been more understanding, given him space to realize his mistake, kept the door open wider. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'll regret the way I handled that phone call. But in the moment, hearing him demand an apology for not letting him rob us, hearing no remorse for what he'd put his mother through, I couldn't fake support for that. Others said we should have just given them what they wanted to keep the peace. That no amount of money is worth losing your child. I understand that perspective. But here's the thing, we would have lost him anyway. Because once we gave them everything, we'd be powerless. Dependent. At their mercy. And people like Tom and Linda don't show mercy. They show dominance. We'd have gone from parents to servants. Living in their garage, grateful for scraps of attention from our son. That's not a relationship. That's not family. That's imprisonment. At least this way we keep our dignity, our independence, our ability to survive. I don't know what happens next. Maybe Michael will come around in a few months or years. Maybe when he and Jessica have kids, seeing himself become a father will remind him of what we did for him. Maybe Tom and Linda will eventually show their true colors in a way he can't ignore, and he'll realize what he sacrificed. Or maybe not. Maybe this is it. Maybe we'll be those parents who see their son on Facebook, living his life, celebrating milestones, raising children we'll never meet. Maybe we'll become strangers connected only by DNA and old photographs. The hardest part is the uncertainty. If Michael had died, there would be closure. Grief, but closure. This is different. He's alive and making choices every day that exclude us. Every day he wakes up and chooses them over us. That's a special kind of pain. Sarah keeps saying she should have done something differently. Been stricter when he was young or more lenient. Been closer to Jessica or given them more space. Something, anything that would have prevented this. I keep telling her it wouldn't have mattered. People like Tom and Linda are predators. They saw a young couple they could mold, and they went to work. They would have found a way in regardless of what we did. I'm trying to be strong for Sarah, but honestly, I'm barely holding it together. I go to work and pretend everything's fine. Come home and pretend I'm okay. But at night, alone with my thoughts, I'm not okay. I keep seeing that image of Sarah crying in the corner while they all ignored her. I keep hearing Michael's cold voice on the phone. I keep wondering what I could have done differently. My brother suggested we take a trip. Get away for a while, clear our heads. We're thinking about it. Maybe going somewhere we used to take Michael when he was young, or somewhere completely new. I don't know. Part of me wants to stay here in case he comes to his senses.